Hey guys, Mark here with Trophy Trail Outdoors. Guys, we were doing food plots today for the fall. All of our yearly food plots have already been in since the spring, but we have three 2-acre plots that we put in this time of year. We just do some turnips and just a few other things that we throw in there, some brassicas and stuff. Um, Mainly though, the biggest thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today was whenever you're planting those food plots, it is really neat because a lot of times you'll go out there and everything, you start planting everything, and nobody ever looks at the food plot beforehand. And we did today. We looked at the food plots and we was looking at all the different ways that we could see the deer still coming in and traveling through those food plots, even though there was nothing there. And guys, it's crazy because we're looking at almost identical routes from last year. Okay, where they're coming out of the woods, they're still coming out of the woods. Okay, and I feel like that the reason why they're still using the same routes as they was last year is because nothing has changed. We didn't stress them out. We haven't decided that, you know what, we're going to go over here, we're going to hang some stands over here, we're going to do this and that. No, we adapt during the season so that the deer in the off season try to stay the exact same way. The routes are exactly the same way as what they were the previous year. That way we feel like we have a good starting point every year. What I'm getting at is, so this year when we went down there, we still have 3 or 4 stands in fields around the fields that are, they're still established. There's nothing. We made sure everything was good with them and everything, but they've been in the same place for about 5 years now, and the deer know that they're there. Okay, so that's one thing that the deer are used to them. They're not trying to go around or anything like that. We haven't made any big moves on our stands. Now during season, if we notice that all the deer are coming in from the other side of the field, and we'll get a lock on or something like that, and we'll go down there with that one. But we leave our main stands in the same places every year, just for the simple fact we like them to start out where they were the previous year. Going in, we have a 40-acre lot behind us, and the gentleman has a lake. Okay, we have a 3-acre lake on our place too, completely the other side of our property, our 40 acres. So the deer that are using his lake, I'm sure the same deer that we're using ours, but the way they travel off of his lake and they come up, the way they come into our fields. Now we haven't had anything but just weeds and stuff like that until about end of May, June. We sprayed it and we tilled it up and got it ready this last week, and we just planted this weekend. So our biggest thing right now is we was looking at deer movement. Are our stands in the same place? Well, obviously the stands are in the same place as they was last year, but movement from last year to this year, that's the reason why we left the stands in that place, is because they're still coming into that same area. Okay, now if something happens and half the field dies out and they switch to the other side, like I said, we go to that other side. We set up for that. But our biggest thing right now is, where is the deer movement? And before you plow your fields, before you disc them up and you look at all that stuff, go in and look for deer movement. Okay, that way you can tell before you start planting what exactly is what's going on in that area before you disturb it. Okay, now if you're like us, and I preach about how you need to stay out of your areas, but when you're planting food plots, it's there is a lot of noise, there's a lot of stuff going on in those areas, and the deer, they'll come back. They will come back, especially once that food starts coming up. Those turnips start coming up into the after that late frost, that first frost, and they'll come in back into those areas. They're not going to have a problem with that. What they have a problem with is when they're coming into those areas and they smell you. Okay, so make sure that you're getting your cover scents. You're getting if you're using deer pee, whether you're using ours or you're using somebody else's, make sure you're putting it out in the right spots. Make sure you know how to use it. If you don't know how to use it, or you've never had any luck with it, and it's something that I know this is this is the most common thing. Most guys, they always say, if they've never had any luck with deer pee, oh, we've never had any luck with it, we don't use it, we've never had any luck. And that's the same guy that most of the time doesn't see anything until rifle season last weekend. He shoots a doe. Okay. The reason why you didn't see anything with the deer pee had nothing to do with the deer pee. It's most likely, swallow your pride and admit, I really don't know how to use this stuff. Okay, so we want to help you guys. All right. Well, like I said, whether you buy ours or whether you buy somebody else's, we want to help you and we want to show you how to use the stuff. And one of the biggest things is like this right here. This is our rut rope, and it comes with a D-ring. You can see it up here. The D-ring hangs in the tree. That's the only part you have to touch. And so the most of the deer scent is down here on the bottom. And guys, it is anybody's rope. I mean, if they're made the right way and you guys are applying the deer scent the right way, it's kind of hard to mess up if you're not, you can't get your scent all over it, but if you're using other scents, you'll be fine. All right. But like I said, you don't have to use our stuff, but if you're having trouble and you need some help, reach out to us. We would love to help you guys. We would love to show you how we do it and kind of help you in those areas. But so like I said, we go into our food plots this weekend and we start looking at everything, seeing where the deer are coming in. We're plotting it out, making sure that we know exactly the way they're entering and exiting the field, and what they're doing around the field or whatnot. And so we put all that down. We got all that information, and then we disked it up. We planted our stuff. Another reason why those deer are visiting those food plots and stuff are because we have a lot of perennial things in the area that they are eating. Okay, so I preach the red twig dogwoods. Okay, till I'm blue in the face, I will tell you it's so great. It is an awesome plant. They regenerate so fast. The deer will come in, they'll eat on them, and then they're gone. But like I said, you can plant so many of them. They can be propagated, and you don't lose anything. I mean, you could go to Lowe's and spend $20 and buy a bunch, or buy one of those plants. Sorry, I had a tick on me. You could buy one of those plants and put it in, and they may die, they may not die. The deer may eat them all the way back. They may not. Like I said, there's a way to do the red twig dogwood so that you're not spending, a food plot with the red twig dogwood. You could honestly put in a whole field of red twig dogwood, and that would be your food plot. I mean, in all honesty, that would be your food plot. And it's just, the deer love them. It's like cotton candy to deer. Okay, so if you're looking for something that comes back yearly, and you're that type of person that you may get in this year to put a food plot in, but next year you're working and you just didn't make it. Well, you don't have to worry because you already have stuff growing out there that the deer love. Okay, so we looked at all that stuff. We put it in a couple years ago. That's what's keeping our deer in the area all year long. Okay, so that whenever we plant the turnips, the brassicas, the different things that they like, the sugar beets, all those things that we're planting, they are already in the area. Okay, so that right there just locks them in even more. Okay, so there's so many things, guys, that you can do. Like I said, deer scent, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I've used it, it didn't work. Okay, well, are you planting food plots? If you're not planting food plots, then what other ways are you keeping deer in your area? Do you have a salt lick? Do you have a mineral pile? Do you have water? These are the things that we need to address before you start using pee. Okay, pee is something you use because the deer are on your property and the scent brings them in. Okay, I watched a video the other day, and the guy said that whenever most deer get up, he uses a drone. He said when most deer get up, they have pretty much a dedicated route in the morning that they travel, and then as they reach different does, they'll reach 3 or 4 different does, 4 or 5 different does here, and as they're traveling, those does, they'll be in those little areas, and instead of just blowing them up and blowing them out, chasing them and all that stuff, they sniff throughout on their trail. They try to find that one doe that may be in heat and may not be. If they find that one doe, then they may go off and they're trying to locate that doe. So that's how they come off of their trails. Okay, but most bucks have a dedicated trail that they use. Okay, now if they smell you, yes, they're going to go around. Okay, they're not going to just keep walking. Okay, you're not just going to find that dedicated trail and keep them coming right at you if you smell like KFC. Okay, so make sure that you're taking the showers, you're doing what you're supposed to do, and if you're putting the food plots in, you're doing something to help your chances and you're keeping the deer on your property, or they're frequently on your property, the deer scent is what brings them in once they're close, okay? That's what locks the deal up, okay? So when people say, oh, I didn't see anything or anything like that, those are the questions I ask. And it's like, okay, well, if you're not doing any of those other things and you cannot tell me that there are deer on your property, you know, most of the time, then how is the scent supposed to work? Because I don't even know where the closest deer is. That closest deer may be off the valley, way over, you know, a mile away, or in the ravine, you know, a half mile over here, or you may stink. You may smell like shit. And if you do, they're not coming anywhere near you anyway. So, like I said, you know, swallow your pride. If you don't know how to use deer scent, get with us. We would love to help you guys out. We would definitely, I mean, that's what we do. Trophy Trail Outdoors, all we are about is education. That's what we want to do. We want to help you guys. And if you need anything from us, or if there is something that you want to buy from us, you would like to try our products, we'd love that too. But you can go to trophytrailoutdoors.com and you can check out all the stuff we have. If not, you guys just subscribe to the channel and hopefully you guys can get something out of our content. All right. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you.